Okay, here we go. Okay, lesson 39, solving rational equations. The objective today, students will solve rational equations. What you need to know before you start the lesson is how to cross multiply from pre-algebra. Okay, these are your steps. Okay, so in case you didn't write them down, please write them down. Stop the video. Okay, here we go. Number one. Watch me do number one. Okay, here we go. Okay, so exactly what is the problem, right? So we want to figure out, we want to solve this, okay? What's k supposed to be equal to, okay? Kind of scary. Just watch. Pencils down. Pencils down. Look up here. Look at the problem or at me, okay? So the first thing you need to do is, there's an equal sign here, so you check each side of your equal sign. So there's an equal sign here. The right side of the equal sign already has its own denominator, and there's only one denominator, which is good. The left side, though, has a denominator here and here. They're not the same, and there's a subtraction sign in the middle. So I need to simplify this left side before I start. So if this side's 2k squared and this is k squared, I know this side has a 2, this denominator doesn't have a 2, so I'm going to multiply this by 2 and this by 2. This side has k squared, this side has k squared, so we're good. So carefully working this out, my new denominator is going to be 2k squared. We have k. I'm going to bring a k down. We have minus 8, but I'm going to just skip a couple steps. I'm going to combine. We have negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, so negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. Okay, I just skipped a couple steps. Did 2 steps in one. Is equal to 1 over 2k squared. Okay, that's the first step. I just made it so I have one denominator on each side. And now I have two fractions equal to each other. When that's the case, each numerator and denominator, of course, is in its own parentheses. I can apply the cross multiply rule. So I'm going to cross multiply. We have 2k squared times 1 is just 2k squared. Then we have k minus 10 times 2k squared. So this is going to be 2k squared times k is going to be 2k cubed. 2k squared times negative 10 is negative 20k squared. Okay. Then I'm going to move everything or combine like terms. We have 2k squareds on one side and we have k squareds on this side. I want to just move everything to one side. So I'm going to subtract 2k squared on both sides. I'm going to do it to both sides so that it... Nope. We're going to... This is a positive 2k squared, so I'm going to subtract 2k squared. Okay. So these two cancel out, just leaving 0 is equal to 2k cubed minus 22k squared. Okay. Now, this is a problem we've done before. We're going to solve. This is k to the third, so I know I'm going to have 3 solutions, right? So I could factor out a 2k squared here. So this is going to be k minus 11. Okay, this is all still equal to 0. Zero product property of 2k squared is equal to 0. And we have k minus 11 is equal to 0. Okay? When I solve for this, we get k is equal to 0, and we get k is equal to 11 here. Okay? Before I finish, we have k is equal to 0 and k is equal to 11. I want to check for these things called extraneous solutions. I want to see if any of these solutions make my original fractions undefined. If I plug in 0 here, 0 squared is 0 times 2 is 0. Does that make my denominator 0? Do we want a denominator that's 0? No, we don't, because it's undefined, right? So since this makes the denominator 0, we can't include this. This would be called an extraneous solution, meaning even though this should be a solution, it's not, because it makes my denominator 0 at one point. Does that make sense? So we do not include this as an answer. Even though we solve this as an answer, this is not an answer. Now check 11. 11 squared is 121. 121 times 2 is 242. This doesn't make it undefined. How about here? 11 squared here is 121. Yep, doesn't matter. So 11 is a solution that works. It's not extraneous. That's number 1. Okay. Again, all I did, step one, I just make sure each side of the equation make each side of the equation over one denominator. Okay, that's the first step. It's over one denominator. It doesn't always have to be the same denominator. In this example, it was. Then I cross multiply. Then I combine like terms. Okay. Factor and solve, or I'm factoring and solving one side. And I solve, I get two answers, k is equal to 0, k is equal to 11. And I check for extraneous solutions. K cannot equal to 0. Okay, that's number one. Watch me do number two a little more quickly. Okay, number two. We have r minus 7 over 5r plus 1 is equal to r plus 6 over r. So, right side we have a denominator of r. That's fine. This side we have two denominators. We have 5r and we have, this is really over 1. Okay? So, we want to combine like terms. I'm going to multiply this by 5r. So we get a new common denominator on the left-hand side of 5r. Numerator, we have r plus 1 times 5r is going to be 6r. We have negative 7. Bring that down. Okay, which is all equal to r plus 6 all over 5r. Okay, these are now all separate numerators and denominators. We can cross multiply. 5r times r is 5r squared. 5r times 6 is positive 30r. It's all equal to 6r times 5r is 30r squared. Negative 7 times 5r is negative 35r. I'm going to combine like terms. I'll just move everything to the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract everything by 5r squared. And I'm just going to subtract 30r on this side and do the same thing on the opposite side. Right here. Huh? Oh! Okay.
Are you recording it?
Yeah, I am. Still recording. Okay. I know. Like it. Okay. Like it now. Okay, my bad. Here we go. Should I erase too much? That's embarrassing. Whatever. I make mistakes. Just not all the time.
It's rare,
Very rare. Okay, so there should be an R here. Is that what you're trying to say? Okay, here we go. My bad. Here we go. 5r squared plus 30r is equal to 6r squared minus 7r. Is that better? Yeah? Let me just make sure I did this right. R plus 5r, yeah, minus 7. 5r, yeah. R plus 6, 6r. R squared plus 30r, yep. 6r squared minus 7r. Okay, good. Now I combine like terms. So I'm going to subtract 5r. I'm still going to subtract negative 5, or subtract 5r squared minus 30r on both sides. Does it still work? Yes? So this cancels out, so we get 0 is equal to r squared minus 37r. Okay, I could factor out an r, so 0 is equal to r times r minus 37. Zero product property is r. I'll move it up here a little bit. R is equal to 0, and r minus 37 is equal to 0, so r is equal to 37. Okay, so I'm going to check for extraneous solutions now. R is equal to 0. We can't have that because 5 times 0 is 0. We don't want to use this one, so in this example we can't use that. However, r can equal to 37 on this example. Okay, that makes sense? All right, any questions on numbers 1 or 2? Apologize for that confusion there. Thank you for catching. Okay, So I'd like you to pick one problem between you and your partner. I want you to talk about the steps together. First person will talk about step 1, second person step 2, first person step 3, and so forth until you finish. Ready, set, go. Continue at number 3. Okay. Let's do this one together. Let's do the first step together, and then you'll finish it off. So the first step, we have we have a denominator here that's by itself, but on the left-hand side we don't. So we need a common denominator. So turn to your neighbor, tell them what you would do to make this denominator common. Okay, what's our common denominator? What should it be? 5n squared, right? You should be multiplying this by n and this by n, okay? So we're going to get a common denominator of 5n squared. Numerator is going to be n times 1 is n minus 1, right?
Why did minus 1 go?
Why is it minus 1?
Yeah, what did it do 5? Because you have to add 5 to the other side.
Oh, and then we have to multiply by 5. Good.
Come on, Dad. 2 in the same day?
No. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Okay. Right hand side we have 3 over 5n squared. Okay, now we're going to finish off the problem. Tell your neighbor, what would you do next in this example? Words, here we go, in case you didn't get it. Each of these is its own numerator and denominator. Cross multiply 5n squared times 3 is 15n squared. Please don't erase your boards yet. Then we got 5n cubed minus 25n squared. Combine like terms. I'm going to subtract 15n squared to put from both sides. We get 0 is equal to 5n cubed minus 40n squared. Factor out of 5n squared. It's going to be n minus 8. So 5n squared is equal to 0. And n minus 8 equals 0. N is equal to 0. And then n is equal to 8. Now, check for extraneous solutions. We don't want anything to be multiplied with 5 to make it 0. So n times, if n is 0, it would make it 0. So n is an extraneous solution. We don't want that as a solution. 8 would work because 5 times 8 is 40. And 8 squared is going to be 64. So it's still good. Okay? That's your answer. Okay, number 4, all the way through. Number 4. Ready, set, go. Okay, here we go. Don't erase your work. There's a lot of errors. There's a silly mistake most people made, okay? Shh. Watch up here, please. Okay, the right side, again, there's a common denominator. We don't need to worry about that. But on this side, we don't have a common denominator. In order to do that, we're going to multiply this by 2. So we have a common denominator of 4n squared. So we got, watch carefully, 2 times 1 is 2 minus positive 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Then we have negative n, right? Negative n?
Yeah.
Which is equal to 1 over 4n squared. Okay. This is in parentheses. This is in parentheses. And so forth. Cross multiply. 4 times 1 is 4n squared. Negative n minus 1 times 4n squared is going to be negative 4n cubed minus 4n squared. Okay, I'm going to subtract 4n squared from both sides. So when I do that, I get 0 is equal to negative 4n cubed minus 8 n squared. I could factor out a negative 4n squared, which is going to be n plus 8 is all equal to 0. And then zero product property, got negative 4n squared is equal to 0. Oh, plus 2.
Come on, Dad.
That's 3.
Are you having a bad day?
Then we got n plus 2 is equal to 0. So n is equal to 0. And n is equal to negative 2. A lot of you put positive 2, right? Okay, now check for extraneous solutions. You all did this right. N can equal to 0 in this example. It can sometimes, so just be careful. Don't assume just because it's 0 that it won't work. It depends what these denominators are, okay? So n is equal to negative 2 is your answer. Huh? Oh, okay. So raise your hand if you made a silly mistake. So fix your silly mistake and then erase your boards. Please pass your whiteboards forward. That concludes the lesson.